here at Individual Insights, the podcast where we deep dive into the world of customer success with industry leaders. I'm your host, Irina Cismas, and today's guest is Glenn Debattista, CEO at BetStarters. Glenn, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Rina, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be on this podcast with you.
How did you first land in iGaming, and what kept you hooked?
That was a very long time ago, and it was over 20 years ago. So we're talking about ancient history here. Well, yeah, basically, you know the story of Malta and iGaming. About over 20 years ago, there was this idea to bring iGaming to Malta, and it brought with it lots of new roles and jobs in this industry, especially in Malta. So it was something quite new and fascinating at the same time. It also brought with it lots of new opportunities for us. And me, myself, I used to enjoy betting a bit, and I love sports. Joining an iGaming company, as I always like to say, wasn't actually, in fact, my first role was that of a trader in the sportsbook, where we used to create odds and make sure no risk match the company's bets that come through from customers. And it was interesting because we get to speak and talk about the sports all day long during work, whereas before, in a normal job, maybe that would be frowned upon.
You mentioned the training for one of your first roles, and I know that you've changed along your career in those 20 years that you were mentioning. Any role that still shapes how you see things today?
So I'm still at heart, still a trader, I believe, because I'm always, especially with maths, and maths was always my favorite subject at school. So the probabilities and all the managing risk has always been a part of me, no matter what roles I did. And after, in fact, I spent 15 years working in trading departments. And over the past 5 years, I moved on more specifically to product and then eventually as an operations CEO role. I believe that was a normal transition, and that in fact helped me. The fact that I knew also what granular aspects of trading department, it helped me better align with the departments and help me build teams, because obviously in the trading departments I managed to move up forward as well in the different roles that were available over there. So yes, I do strongly believe on the trading aspect and the risk management aspect did help a lot in shaping my present and also future.
And if you apply the same question, but when it comes to leadership, which role you use the most as a leader?
Inside the training department, as I said, I spent 15 years there. So I would say that I managed to climb up the steps over the years. In fact, in my first role, I became a team leader of traders. And that's where I started realizing, okay, I have a knack for this thing. So I really enjoyed being there, planning, building teams, and shaping up the department accordingly. So that definitely had me also in this role of eventually of CEO, because before that, obviously, I was also in different roles like head of and managing roles and so on and so forth. I strongly believe that the shift that started basically by me having more responsibility and having more influence in the department I was in.
And let's speak about BetStarters setup and about your current team. How is your current team set?
We're in an interesting phase right now. We're in the phase where we're scaling up. So obviously that means more resources are needed in the company. And it's where it's like a jigsaw puzzle, where basically you need to find the right people for the right roles, for the right tasks. And so you need to fit them all in one good jigsaw puzzle. There will be some pieces which might not fit properly, and there might be some pieces which slide in really nicely into the whole organizational chart. In fact, right now, I would say that we're in a lean, right, structure, but it's also strong. It has a strong base. And on top of it, we're building on with these roles. We're always on the lookout, in fact. So if anyone wants to join BetStarters, so just not click away from applying with us.
So, what roles are you trying to fill in a bit big?
We have different roles. And to be fair, other than the roles, we look at people. In fact, when I interview people, I like to look not only at their skills, but especially at their attitude, at the way they might fit within the company. Because it's like in a football team, you might have the best footballer in the world, and you might sign him, but if he does not fit in that team, it could be just more stiff than actually helpful for the team. So you need to find the right people with the right attitude and the right mindset.
Speaking about your process, hiring process, what one trait that you don't compromise over in the recruitment process? What's the most important? Is it the attitude towards the job, the implication? What are you searching for?
Yes, I definitely not searching for prima donnas, people who think that they know everything and just want to keep on. Think they just basically reached the top and so on and so forth. I feel, that even us, anyone in this industry who has a lot of experience, and you never stop learning. And this is such a fast-paced industry that you need to be very humble and always willing to learn, even from people who might not be in a lower position than yourself. Of course, you can't know everything. You cannot expect to know everything, and you need to be willing to learn more. So definitely, the trait I'm always looking for is people who are open to learn and willing to accept the fact that they don't know everything.
And how do you test it in the interview process?
There are, this is interesting because there are different ways. I think some companies like to do these tests, these psychological tests. Maybe I'm not yet at that stage where I do psychological tests, but from experience, and I've done hundreds of interviews. So start getting a feel of what to ask and the reaction people give you during the interview stage. Sometimes you need to go with your gut feeling from the way they reply to your answers. You might try even to bait them with certain questions to see how they react or what they will do in that kind of situation, and get an idea of person that you are speaking to and how they. Doesn't mean that you will always get it right, but at least you learn.
I'm curious. You mentioned earlier that one of the things that you are trying to do as we speak, where one of the challenges and opportunities in the same time is scaling the team and trying to fill in the puzzle or the fill in the blanks. And you are recruiting, we're searching for the right people. It's the right time with the right attitude and the skill set. Is hiring the only way you are thinking of overcoming this challenge, or does technology play a role in the scaling process?
Technology, I think, over the past 2 years has been playing a huge role, especially with AI. I know where you're going with that. I knew that you were right. Yes, AI has become extremely important ally in, I think, every situation, every company. And it's very important for management, but also for the employees themselves to learn how to deal with it and survive with it and adapt to it, because it's obviously, it's still in its infancy, and that and this infancy stage is still a very powerful tool to have. Having the right people is important, and part of having the right people is people who actually are able to adapt themselves to be able to help, the company by also using these tools and not just their experience and knowledge.
And what are your not necessarily go-to tools? And I'm not interested in the drop name. I'm not interested in what are the things you need to add into the team in terms of ops. I don't know. We can name categories to under so that no one untouched.
Yep.
What are the type of tools that they work on day to day?
Day to day, depending on obviously which department. There's the operations side, which
Let's talk about on the operational part.
obviously, as a B2B company, operation wise means that we need to deal with the client's issues, right? So first of all, you have account managers who soak in all of the main issues that the client might have. These are usually then translated into tickets, into a ticket system, like, for example, Jira. which are then taken by the relevant department and dealt with internally. So tools like this, I think the most important aspect here is the organization. Being organized probably have things done, because if things are organized in the right way, then it's easier for everyone to follow up, that the things are transparent, and you decrease the opportunity of making not mistakes, but making maybe no slip ups or creating blockers or issues that might slow you down.
So Jira is the go-to, is the basically the central tool where the whole operational team lives. And from there, and in Jira, you have everything integrated also at the customer level.
I believe that dealing with customers' needs, requirements, and issues, right, is the focus of companies like ours, right? Because it's used as to sign a contract with the client, and then you're not able to deal either from a resources point of view or from a technical point of view with the issues that might and will crop out during both the onboarding, the setup, and the go live.
And customer, who's handling the customer life cycle overall in your company? Are the account managers? Is it something that stays into your team, into the operational?
Yeah, the account managers at the end of the day, they're the voice of the client inside the company. Or they bring the issues that the client might have there. They bring forward the problems that they are facing, or even though put the positive note as well. Doesn't mean that it's only negative issues. And they bring them forward to the team so that we can hand solve them. Obviously, the account manager needs to translate the client's problems, needs, and requirements into the right wording for the technical team. They need to be like a bridge between us as a company and the client. This is why it's very important that the account manager can speak both the client's language and the company's language, and try to be very diplomatic also in their ways how they can bring and send messages accordingly.
As a COO, how do you balance the operational part of things and the customers? How do you try to, how do you serve equally best words, operational and customers?
Yeah, balance is a very important aspect, right? You build trust. You need to build trust with the client. They need to trust you. They need to know that you're not there once they sign the contract with them. You just disappear. You need to be there present for them. You need to build helping yourself with networking, with having a good relationship with them, with making sure that they feel like that they are partners and not clients. That's a very important thing, because some companies, they might treat clients just as clients, as a number, whereas at the end of the day, they are your partners, because their success needs your success. So it is very important, it's imperative that they feel that they have your trust, that they can trust you back, and that you can rely on each other.
And what are the common challenges they usually bring to you, your customers?
Definitely growth, in the sense that if it was for the customer, they would first of all launch the product tomorrow. I'm sorry, yesterday, not tomorrow. They would want it yesterday. That's for them. But obviously, that cannot be done. At least not unless you want to create technical debt and you want to create issues for both them and yourself in the long run. Everything is doable, but realistically speaking, you need to strike a balance over there. So yes, so after that, their challenge is to actually grow as fast as possible. This obviously we try to help them as much as possible from our end. In fact, we're always there to consult them, to help them, give them advice so that they can take the right decisions. It's not always easy, obviously, because they might have their own roadmap and their own plans, which they want to follow. But from our end, we always try to help as much as possible by giving them from our experience from previous customers, sales clients, so what works best and what doesn't work. We're there for them, but obviously they need to take the right decision at the end of the day.
I'm curious, do you ever say no to a customer? How do you mitigate the no's?
Yes, look, I wouldn't say no directly, but I would explain to them the issues of choosing that path, that particular road that they want to take. And in most cases, I think most of the time, I don't recall anyone who actually have ever then decided to go, no, the more original way. He wants to explain it, and that's very important. As long as you explain it the right way and show them, look, if we do this will happen, or if we do this will happen, then they will understand themselves. This is actually very similar to what we call resistance to change, even there in the company, right? When there's resistance to change, you cannot just impose an answer or a decision on someone. You need to show them why it's better to do this change or take this decision. And then they will understand on their own and they will actually want to do it that way themselves.
Interesting. What has been the toughest customer challenge? Was it programming or the fact that they want to start yesterday?
Definitely the biggest challenges we're facing clients is always the fact that they want to scale as fast as possible. Everything has its time, and it's also relative to the investment that one puts in as well. So there are companies, startups who might not have as much budget as bigger companies, but they would still expect to scale up as fast as these big companies. Unfortunately, it's not easy, especially if you're focused, if you don't have enough budget for market acquisition, for example. So you need to understand that there's a timing that you need to use the budget to, yes, scale up, but the rate of how you will scale up is also depending on the decisions that you will take. And it's also it's also important for them to understand that to have a balance on, what can be done now and what can be done at a later stage. Because at a later stage, you need to have a roadmap planned and make sure that you have the right steps in place for that.
We always talk about the good sides when it comes to our customers, but now I want to ask you about an experiment that didn't go as planned, or a decision, or something that you agreed with a customer and didn't go as expected. And how did you turn it around, or what happened? What was the outcome of it?
Well, this obviously happens in every company I've worked for. Obviously, there is no like 100% one size fits all that works for everyone. You need to learn to adapt accordingly, and sometimes yes, things might not go the right way. So you need to make sure that you are always ready for any eventuality. And I think that is the only and best way to deal with failure, right? You need to need to be prepared for any eventuality. Sometimes there's something that unexpected might happen. And in that case, you take it in stride and you use it as a teaching for future lessons. Even ourselves, I believe. It's something I always tell everyone. If someone never made a mistake, they're not going to learn from life, from these roles that I gain or any other role in any industry. And I believe that all the people who are making C-level or made it at the top of their career, they all fail eventually, more than once. So you cannot really, that's the only way how you can learn and improve yourself. Same things for companies. And like ourselves, once we see that a failure occurs, of course, we're gonna learn, we'll understand it wrong, do the introspective, and then take this stride and learn as much as possible out of this situation.
You've been involved in projects like building communities, and you've developed iGaming professionals, MIG, and what did you learn about this type of projects, and how did they impact you? What does it take to build a community?
Yes. I First of all, I believe that in this industry, especially networking is one of the most important aspects in the sense that either going to conferences or LinkedIn, which is a great tool, it's very important to be active in these scenarios. Why? Because it's all about personal branding. Once you improve your personal branding, then this will spread on even to your company. And what I mean is that, for example, a lot of time people know me, from my personal branding, but next to that, they will know the company I work for and what we do. And that's what generates also leads for our company in order to get more clients. I believe that networking is a big value. So I wanted to create also these communities on purpose so that we can all become close and having a close knit industry, especially here in Moldova, which is a big, huge hub for 10K industry. And this way we can all help each other out. It's so easy, nowadays, if someone comes to us, me, I'm looking for someone or a company who does this. It's easy to, yes, I know this person or I know this company. So then introducing. So being a community and helping each other out.
What do you think would be the biggest shift in the way we serve customers? Years.
Awful. As I think we mentioned before, that's definitely going to be AI. AI is the present and the future, and becoming so important for even just daily things, right? Not just for work, but especially for work. It's going to be a huge platform on which to build future businesses and improve efficiency, operations. In fact, I believe it's similar to that trend in the 70s and the early 80s when computers came into play. And back then, people, first of all, were afraid that they would be replaced by computers. But in reality, people just need to adapt and learn how to use them to be able to help themselves work better and be better, employees and better reach the goals that they have set for themselves for the outcome.
What's your advice with someone thinking for a senior CS or CO role in iGaming?
I meet a lot of people in this industry, and lots of people from C-level and high level of roles, and a few of them they just love their voice, the sound of their voice. So they like and they like to make sure that people hear them. And I think it's not the ideal way how you can step into such a role. I believe that the best thing to do is actually listen to what others have to tell you. Let it soak in, let it go sink in, let people tell you what through their experiences, and then you draw your own conclusions, and then you are able to speak better and tell others what you've learned and what you've heard about these things. It's all about balance. Make sure that you listen to what people say, and then obviously you tell them, you give always your opinions and build networks. Make sure that your relationship with clients and employees is always good enough to know that you can actually work internally and externally with these people, and maybe improve your personal branding from the thing.
I want to end this episode with one key takeaway for our listeners. What you
Gaming, about iGaming. A lot of people think that iGaming with all the fancy titles and that is available, it's all about them. But in reality, it's all about people. This is why I believe you're strong in networking. Mm, Success is generated by the people that you meet along the way. By building trust, make sure that people know more about you and trust you, the way that you work and the way you interact with them, the way that show that you actually can help out, either from your experience or from your knowledge. And I believe that once people earn your trust, and vice versa, then everything else will fall into its place.
Thank you so much, Glenn, for sharing your insights with us today. And a big thank you to all our listeners. Until next time, stay safe and keep mastering customer success.
Thank you. Yeah. See you soon.
Yes.